Good morning, guys. It's that time of the week again. We're up to the emergency storage shed clean out video for the week. This is episode 115, so we've done 115 weeks in a row. Let's get something out of here today, and hopefully it'll be quick, efficient, easy, profitable, and doesn't take me too long to edit. The time squeeze is real, guys. I just don't seem to get enough done each week. We need more days in the week. Admittedly, every Wednesday we go down to Melbourne for chemo, and that puts a little hole in it. But, you know, I don't have the farm cleanup to do every couple of weeks now. So, I don't know. I wish I could just make some more. Maybe I can find some more time in a box somewhere to sort of put up my sleeve and use it when I need to. We have to get something out of here, and I've been working on that top corner. Remember that we got those milk crates down, got a lot of really cool household stuff, some good value stuff out of those crates. I suspect that box in there is a similar box. It's got, I can see a bit of some timber carving, and there's some newspaper wrapping something up, and it looks like there's a flat belt, like a flat drive belt on top of it. We'll get that out at some stage, but it doesn't necessarily come out next because we have to kind of do things logically. And the next logical box is the green crate, and then that clear plastic tub of Xbox games, PC games, something. A couple of people mentioned in the comments what colours indicated what platforms they were for. So we'll get those two down. I know the green tub is just full of old chargers, so we'll sort that out. I'll show you how I deal with those. We should get some value for scrap, like transformers and wire. And then under those we have that CRT monitor, quite a vintage one, looks maybe 1990s. Once we get those three items gone, we can get that box out of that. The back, it's the speaker section of an old console radio on its side. Anyway, I don't know how far we'll get today. Let's get that green tub in and sort out the old power packs, transformers, wall warts, chargers, whatever you want to call them. They could be just value for scrap. We'll have to decide when we get into it. It's certainly got some weight in it, which is okay. If they go as transformers for scrap, there'll be a bit of value. There's certainly some wire in here. I'll be scrapping the older ones, but I'll keep the more modern ones, particularly if they're an unusual voltage, because I do sell a lot of these power supplies. In fact, I sold one just this morning to someone that needed one because their old one had broken somehow and they needed to use it, so they rang me in a bit of a hurry. We weren't even open today, but I was able to help them out. So we'll go through this box and see what sort of value we can get. Let's just tip it out, hey? And there might even be some laptop chargers in here. That's a pretty large charger. What's it say? HP. It's a 19 volt, so it will be a laptop charger. We can get some pretty good value out of those. Some of those might even be worth selling online. It looks like the cord's got a little bit of an issue. But I have sold a few laptops online recently on eBay that had their power packs with them, and they made reasonable money. It was worthwhile doing. That is a HP, but it's 32 volts. That's odd. Maybe that was for a printer. All right, I won't go through all these with you because it'll just get very monotonous and boring, so I'll sort these out and I'll show you what we end up with. Some of the heavy transformer ones, the linear power supplies, are worth breaking open if I don't want to keep them. But some of these ones that are very light, they're just a switch mode power supply. There's a little circuit board in there, really no scrap value. So that's a 12 volt 2 amp, very common. And really there's a limit to how many of those I need to keep. So some of them we may just chop the cord off and the transformer part can go in the e-waste. But all right, I'll sort them out. Okay, I've made sense of that pile and I've sorted them into various voltages, and I've got some decisions to make. Now, all these ones here are all 12 volt DC. Most of them, some are 2 amp, some are only an amp, some are 500 milliamp. They're all very common power packs. Some of them are the linear ones with a heavier transformer in them, and some of them are just very light switch mode power supply ones. I've got a box full of 12 volt ones already. I rarely sell them. I do use them sometimes, but I need to work out what to do with them. Look, I can just scrap them and we might just see what sort of value we get out of scrapping them, or whether I just wrap them all up neatly so they don't get tangled and then put them out the front of the shop for $1 each or something. I don't know. It comes back to that thing. Is the cheaper price actually going to make them sell, or do you need to find the people that need them, in which case they might pay $5 or $10 anyway? I don't want to have boxes of them at the shop just for $1. I would rather scrap them and get them out of my hair. So I might see what they're worth. Much the same with the 9-volt ones. Most of these are very lightweight switch mode ones from Uniden phones and things. I really don't think it's worth trying to sell them. Every now and again someone might want a 9-volt power supply, but I've got plenty already. I've got 3 laptop power supplies. That's fine. I will keep them because I'll match them up with laptops as I'm testing. This HP we pulled out earlier, I think, is a printer. I'll keep that. We also have, this pile are all 5-volt chargers. I do use quite a few of these, and these have different plugs. That one actually has a plug like that, a male plug. This one has the male-female style. There's different sizes of the plugs. That one's got your older mini USB style, and that's a very fine plug. So I do keep the 5-volt ones because I find I'm looking for certain sizes all the time. These ones are random voltages, like 22 volts and 7.5 volts, and just different ones. I will hang on to the different ones because I get asked for them from time to time, and I can sell them at either $5 or $10. So it's worth doing that because they're really not worth much for scrap, as I said. This one's actually a 19-volt, which generally suits a laptop. Maybe it suits a small notebook or something. This one's a Sony one, possibly suited a camcorder or some sort of camera or something. So I keep specialised ones. They may sell okay on eBay as well, but I'm just going to hang on to those for now. But the biggest trouble I have is that the 12-volt ones just pile up so quickly. I can't possibly sell them as quick as I get them in. So we'll scrap a couple and just see what they're worth for scrap. But if you have any suggestions, do I put them out the front in a box for $2 each? Do I just forget about it and don't lug them around and just scrap them all as soon as I get them? Because as I said, I have got plenty. I do keep ones with slightly different sized plugs, and occasionally you get one with a right angle plug which suits certain appliances. So I keep the odd ones, but all these are basically the same. And I do keep ones with larger current capabilities, whereas one that's only half an amp, it's just not worth it. You know, you could easily put a power pack on something that can deliver 2 amps, even if the item only needs half an amp, because there's plenty in reserve. So yeah, you can go bigger but not smaller. So anyway, I'll be interested in your thoughts on that, but at this stage, I reckon I'm just going to scrap all these 12-volt ones. I'll probably scrap all the 9-volt ones. I'll certainly keep the others for now, but if I build up too many of the same sort, I'll probably scrap them anyway. Okay, I've been in for a cuppa and my grandkids visited and I've had a nice afternoon. I have to get back to this stuff. Since I haven't heard from you guys, I'm going to scrap all those. We'll do perhaps one of each type just to see how much value there is, and then I'll just do the lot and we'll weigh up what we've got. I'm also going to include the 9-volt ones there. I checked out these laptop ones online. They do sell quite well, and I reckon I could probably estimate about $20 each for a good working second-hand power supply or charger for a laptop. Keep in mind that these are genuine ones, Toshiba, HP, that's HP again. So they're not aftermarket ones, they're original genuine ones, and they do have a market. This HP charger is for a printer, an inkjet printer I think, and I saw a few of these sell online for about $15 as well. And this little Sony one's actually for a Walkman, and a few of those had sold for $20, $25, even $30. So I will hang on to that one though, because I think I've got a couple of Sony Walkmans put aside. But you can see that the genuine chargers, the genuine original branded chargers, are worthwhile. I'm certainly not going to scrap those good ones. Pretty well all these are just generic aftermarket brands anyway. And yeah, I'll keep the odd voltage ones as I suggested earlier. So I'll box all those up. This video is going to be difficult to get a notepad value on. Oh look, hello Christine. What's
Hello.
that?
It's a mini wagon wheel.
I love wagon wheels, thank
know.
you. What? How about that? Delivery with a smile. All right, so I'll put these aside. I'll put those ones aside and take them to the shop. We won't write down any value for those, even though we are getting good value. And I'll scrap out those 9-volt ones there, and I'll scrap out these 12-volt ones. So we get a little bit of return, hopefully. Okay, let's get a little idea of what these are worth as scrap. This is a heavier linear power supply, which means it's got a large transformer in it. So we'll get some value there. And the wire on these, I have to chop the plug off this end. I generally put the wire from these in with my normal insulated wire. Often the very fine wires I'll put in with data cable, but I think this can go with normal insulated copper wire, which pays a bit over $5 a kilo. So to get into here, I've just got a decent piece of metal on the workbench. I often use the vise, but we'll just use this for now. And a decent mash hammer. And usually they come apart pretty easily. Certainly easier if you don't want to save them. If I'm trying to repair it, clearly you can't open them with that much enthusiasm. So we'll snip the wires in there. And the output wires, we have a little rectifier circuit on here, just with 4 diodes and a large capacitor. I don't need to keep the parts, I've got plenty of those, but if you're saving electronic parts, you could certainly save the diodes. So that gives us a transformer. We'll weigh that one up. And that transformer weighs 368 grams. So transformer price is about $1.25 or something at the moment. So that's almost 50 cents for that transformer. As for the wire, it won't be as much, but we get 23 grams, and that equals a little over 10 cents. So about 60 cents, and it really took no time at all. But if our power supply, there's the casing, is only worth about 60 cents, if we get $1 for the thing as it is with no work, we're going to be better off. But that's what I need to work out. Is it worth mucking around trying to sell these at $1 or $2? I know if someone asks me for one and I've tested it, I'll charge them 10 because it's still cheaper than what you can buy on eBay. But I don't want to keep hundreds of the 12-volt ones. Okay, let's check out another 12-volt power supply, but this is a much lighter switch mode power supply. The wire is going to be similar value, but you'll find that the actual power supply itself is much less value as far as scrap metal goes. So same deal, we'll cut the cord off for a start, and the plug off the other end. And we'll open up this. This one actually has screws in there. I think there's security screws. A lot of them don't have screws. Same method to open. Oh, we'll pick that up later. So inside we have just a little board, and you can see there is a transformer on it, but it's tiny. A couple of capacitors, a diode. There's a little, probably a voltage regulator IC there, an octocoupler. So it's a little switch mode power supply circuit. And there's a few components on the back as well, a little rectifier. So nothing really worth getting off. I'm not going to try and break that transformer off. It's just not worth the effort. So I will just put that straight in the e-waste. The plastic casing probably just in the bin. So all we really get is the cord out of this one, which I would estimate it's probably about 10 cents, maybe a little bit less. So there we go. Not worth scrapping the switch mode power supplies, but I will chop the cord off them. But I think it's worth getting this heavy transformer out of the other ones. So I'm going to go ahead now and clean up these two piles, and we'll weigh up and see what sort of value we get. And here we go, all processed. We ended up with a pile of transformers, a pile of copper wire, and a bucket of stuff to go to e-waste. Now remember, I didn't have to break up any of the lightweight switch mode power supply ones. I only broke open the ones with the heavy transformers in them. And if you're wondering, if you're not familiar with scrapping and you're wondering why people grab transformers, they've got copper wire in them. They've got coils of copper wire. There's one that actually shows you the copper. And copper wire is a valuable resource. The scrap companies will buy transformers like this, much the same as they buy electric motors, and they pay at the moment around about $1.25 or so for these. Some scrappers like to pull the copper wire out of these, and they'll get a return of well over $10 a kilo for the copper wire. But of course there's a lot of time involved in that, and I certainly don't have the available time to do that at the moment. Likewise, some scrappers will actually strip the wire to get the pure copper and get a much better price for the copper. But then, again, it takes time, and I certainly don't think many scrappers would strip this gauge wire. Certainly the heavy gauge wire is probably worthwhile. And the e-waste companies that take this electrical stuff, they will still get value out of here. There's some copper wire on here. There's some components on some of the boards. Some boards contain gold and silver, so it is a precious metal recovery resource from some companies. There's still more copper wire in here. These pins are actually nickel-plated brass. So there's some value in here for the companies that are set up to deal with it. They would have certainly taken the whole power packs as they were, and they would get better value. I've been basically skimming the easiest stuff to get off it, and that's what scrappers do. It's a hobby, and we try to make a few dollars out of saving some resources. And I'm fortunate that our local transfer station has crates to drop all the e-waste in, and I hope the e-waste companies, I believe they do, have ways of dealing with the ABS plastic and that sort of stuff that we can't deal with. Otherwise, you can't put this stuff in your curbside recycle bins. If I took that to the transfer station as rubbish, it would end up in landfill. So that will go to the e-waste company for some sort of recycling. I'll get to sell this stuff at the scrapyard, and that's where the value is for us scrappers, is to pull out the better stuff. Hopefully we don't spend too much time doing it. What's it worth? Well, we didn't get a lot out of this. It adds up to just a bit over $5. Prices are pretty good for scrap at the moment too, so $5. It's certainly a long way from getting $5 to $10 per power pack, but you know, as I said, I don't want thousands of them sitting around of the same sort that I'm just never going to get rid of. So that's what I've done with these, and that's what I'll do with them in the future. All the common ones, I think, unless you guys have got a better idea, all the common ones I'll probably just instantly scrap, cut the wire off it. If it's got a heavy transformer in it, I'll grab that out. The rest of it can go to e-waste. I will, of course, keep a good selection of them at shop anyway, and especially the unusual voltages ones, because I get people ask for them. I've used them before for kids' toys, for electronic keyboards, for all sorts of things. People misplace the power packs, or the cords get chewed by their pet or something. So there is a market for them. I'm just going to keep my stocks at reasonable levels and not piles of one sort. Of course, there are other ways to use them, and the 12-volt ones are particularly good for using as a power supply for those LED strip lights you can get. You can buy them in rolls, you can cut off as much as you want, and you can solder some wire connections onto your little power pack, and you can make your own underbench lighting and that sort of stuff. So they do have some other uses as well. But I get so many of them in. They come every week with the e-waste. People drop stuff off all the time. And this is how I'm going to process them, unless you guys can convince me otherwise. But I'm pretty sure you won't convince me to keep a truckload of 12-volt power packs. So there you go. It turned out to be a bit of a scrapping video and a bit of a how do I deal with these power packs that constantly come in. I hope you enjoyed the video. We've only added $5 or a bit over $5 to our total. But the rest of them that I've kept probably represents at least $100 worth of value, because I could sell some of the brand name ones on eBay, and as I said, I do sell them between $5 and $10 through the shop. So I think there's been some good value in this crate, but we're only really going to write down $5 or so to add to our total. I don't remember what that's up to. I'll report on that in the next video. So thanks for watching, guys. A bit of a quicker video this week, but at least we got one out. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.